That extraordinary sound is the voice of one of nature's most remarkable timekeepers. For decades they have waited in darkness. Now, driven by an ancient biological clock more precise than any human chronometer, millions upon millions of creatures are about to emerge from their underground cathedral and transform the very air above us into a symphony of desire. Welcome to Animal Uncovered. I'm your host, and today we explore the insane life cycle of cicadas. Picture, if you will, a forest floor in the eastern United States. To the casual observer, nothing seems amiss. Children play beneath oak trees, joggers follow familiar paths, but beneath their feet, just 18 inches below the surface, something extraordinary is stirring. The soil temperature has reached precisely 64 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius. This is the signal they have been waiting for. After 17 long years of patient existence in the Earth's embrace, the nymphs of Cicada septendecim begin their ascent. According to research published by the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of Natural History, these creatures possess what may be the longest developmental period of any insect on Earth: 17 years. To put this in perspective, a cicada nymph that began its journey when you were born is only now reaching maturity as you listen to these words. The emergence begins at dusk when the air cools and the light softens. Tiny, ghost-pale creatures, no larger than your thumb, push through the earth with claws perfectly designed for digging. Their eyes, large and bulbous, see the world above for the first time since they fell from the trees as helpless eggs nearly 2 decades ago. But they are not alone. Oh no, they are never alone. The USDA Forest Service has documented emergence densities of up to 1.5 million cicadas per acre. Imagine that. In a single acre of woodland, roughly the size of a football field, 1.5 million creatures are simultaneously clawing their way to the surface. The ground literally writhes with their movement. They move with purpose, these ancient mariners of the soil. Each nymph seeks the perfect launching pad, the trunk of a tree, a fence post, a garden wall. Anything vertical will do. For what comes next is perhaps the most vulnerable moment in their extraordinary lives. The process is called ecdysis, the molting of their nymphal skin. Like a performer shedding a costume, each cicada must emerge from the only body it has ever known. First, a split appears along the back, then slowly, impossibly, the adult cicada begins to pull itself free. The transformation is mesmerizing. Where once there was a pale, earth-dwelling creature with stubby wing pads, now emerges an insect of surprising beauty. Wings transparent as stained glass windows, eyes like polished amber, and a body that gleams with iridescent green and black. But they are soft now, vulnerable. For the next few hours their exoskeleton must harden. Their wings must expand and strengthen. They are defenseless, relying entirely on synchronicity and overwhelming numbers for survival. This is the genius of their strategy. By emerging together, by presenting predators with more food than could possibly be consumed, most will survive to fulfill their ancient purpose. But why 17 years? Why not 15, or 20, or some other arbitrary number? The answer lies in one of nature's most elegant mathematical solutions to the problem of survival. Dr. Mario Marcus of the Max Planck Institute has studied the evolutionary mathematics behind cicada emergence cycles. The numbers 13 and 17, the 2 primary cycles of North American periodical cicadas, are both prime numbers. This is no coincidence. Imagine for a moment that you are a predator whose own life cycle follows a predictable pattern. Perhaps you reproduce every 2 years, or every 4 years. If cicadas emerged every 12 years, you might sync up with them every 4th generation, or every 3rd, but 17. The mathematics make synchronization nearly impossible. A predator with a 2-year cycle would only align with the cicadas once every 34 years. A 4-year cycle, once every 68 years. By the time any predator population could adapt to predict their emergence, the advantage would be lost in the vast sweep of evolutionary time. The journal Ecology published research demonstrating that this prime number strategy reduces predation pressure by up to 90% compared to shorter, non-prime cycles. It is, quite literally, a numbers game written in the language of natural selection. But there's more to their survival strategy than mere mathematics. The sheer volume of their emergence creates what scientists call predator satiation. Research from the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center shows that during peak emergence years, local bird populations consume only about 15% of available cicadas, despite eating virtually nothing else during the emergence period. The forest becomes a buffet so vast that even the most voracious predators cannot make a meaningful dent in their numbers. Raccoons gorge themselves until they can barely move. Birds feed their young exclusively on cicadas for weeks. Even family pets grow fat on the windfall. Yet for every 1,000 cicadas consumed, tens of thousands more survive to mate and perpetuate the cycle. Now, you might wonder, how do creatures that spend 99% of their lives underground coordinate such precisely timed mass emergences? The answer lies in their extraordinary ability to count. Not count in the way we might count, but to track the passage of seasons with remarkable precision. Deep in the soil, cicada nymphs monitor the chemical changes in tree roots as sap flows, and nutrients shift with each passing spring and autumn. University of Connecticut researcher Dr. Chris Simon has spent decades studying this phenomenon. Her research, published in Evolution, suggests that cicadas essentially count the number of seasonal cycles they experience through changes in amino acid concentrations in tree root fluids. It's as though each cicada carries within its primitive brain a biological calendar, marking off the years with chemical precision until that magical moment when the count reaches 17, the soil temperature hits 64 degrees, and the great emergence begins. Most people are familiar to the sound cicadas make. To human ears, it might seem like mechanical noise, the sound of summer itself. But to a female cicada, each note carries the promise of genetic legacy. The male cicada's song is produced by a remarkable instrument called a timbal, a ribbed membrane on either side of his abdomen. By rapidly flexing these timbals, he creates sound pulses that can reach 120 decibels. That's louder than a chainsaw, louder than a rock concert, approaching the threshold of human pain. But volume is only part of the story. Each species of cicada has its own distinct song, as unique as a human fingerprint. Cicada cassini produces a steady drone. Cicada septendecula creates a rapid ticking sound like bacon frying in oil. Cicada septendecim offers a complex phrase that rises and falls like a question being asked. Research published in the journal Animal Behavior reveals that these songs serve multiple purposes. They announce the male's location, advertise his fitness, and create what acoustics experts call acoustic space, invisible territories marked by sound rather than scent or visual displays. But perhaps most remarkably, when thousands of males sing together, they create something unexpected. Silence. Not actual silence, of course, but acoustic windows. Brief moments when all the males pause simultaneously, allowing them to hear the subtle wing-flick responses of interested females. Dr. John Cooley of the University of Connecticut has documented this behavior extensively. Males will sing for several seconds, then pause as if listening. During these quiet moments, females respond with rapid wing movements that create a sharp clicking sound. It's a conversation conducted entirely in rhythm and timing. The mating process itself is remarkably brief. After all those years of waiting, the actual act of reproduction takes mere minutes. But what follows is perhaps the most touching aspect of their entire life cycle. Unlike many insects that mate and immediately move on, cicadas often remain together for hours or even days. They seem to savour these final moments of their above-ground existence, as if aware that their time in the sun is rapidly drawing to a close. The females have one final task. Using their sword-like ovipositor, they cut precise slits in young tree branches and deposit their eggs, sometimes up to 600 per female. It's exhausting work that requires perfect timing. The branches must be young enough to penetrate but mature enough to support the developing eggs. Each egg slit weakens the branch slightly. When thousands of females work the same tree, the cumulative damage causes what arborists call flagging, the browning and death of branch tips. It looks devastating, but research from the USDA Forest Service confirms that this pruning actually stimulates new growth, making the forest healthier in the long term. And then, as suddenly as it began, it ends. Within 4 to 6 weeks of emergence, the adult cicadas begin to die. Not from predation, not from disease, but from the simple completion of their biological purpose. Their bodies, designed for reproduction rather than longevity, simply shut down. The forest floor becomes carpeted with their remains. It might seem tragic, this mass dying after such a brief moment in the sun. But death, for cicadas, is not an ending. It's an investment in the future. Research published in the journal Oecologia by Dr. Louis Yang at UC Davis demonstrates that cicada carcasses provide a massive pulse of nutrients to forest ecosystems. A single emergence can deposit over 200 pounds of protein and other nutrients per acre, the equivalent of adding high-quality fertilizer to the entire forest floor. The trees that will shelter the next generation grow stronger because of these deaths. Small mammals that gorge themselves during the emergence produce larger, healthier litters. Even soil microorganisms benefit from the bounty, creating cascading effects that ripple through the ecosystem for years. But the story doesn't end with the adults. Deep in the tree branches, protected within their mother's carefully carved slits, the eggs are developing. In 6 to 8 weeks, they will hatch into tiny nymphs no larger than rice grains. Gravity is their guide as they drop from the branches to the forest floor. They have no wings, no ability to steer their descent. It's pure chance whether they land on suitable soil or on concrete, on rich earth or barren rock. Many will perish in this lottery of location, but those that find the right spot will dig. With claws perfectly designed for the task, they will burrow down through leaf litter, through topsoil, down to where the tree roots grow thick and strong. There, in darkness absolute, they will begin the long wait. For the next 17 years they will live as miners in the earth, tapping into tree roots like tiny vampires. They will molt 5 times, growing slowly, incrementally, adding mass grain by grain. They will survive droughts that kill surface vegetation, floods that would drown air-breathing creatures, and winters that freeze the soil solid. They are perhaps the most patient creatures on Earth, these cicadas. While entire human generations are born, grow up, and pass away, they wait in darkness, counting seasons, measuring time in ways we can barely comprehend. The nymphs that are burrowing into the soil as I speak will emerge in the year 2042. The children who hear their songs then may well have children of their own. It's a perspective that puts our brief human concerns into cosmic context. Standing in a forest during a cicada emergence, surrounded by millions of creatures completing a journey that began before you were born, one cannot help but feel humbled by the vast scales of natural time. These insects embody patience in its purest form. They represent the power of synchronicity, the mathematics of survival, and the profound beauty of living systems that operate on timescales far beyond human experience. In our fast-paced world of instant communication and immediate gratification, cicadas remind us that some of nature's greatest achievements require not speed, but persistence, not innovation, but faithfulness to ancient patterns. The next major emergence of 17-year cicadas in the eastern United States will occur in 2038. Mark your calendars, set a reminder. For when that time comes, you will witness one of the natural world's most extraordinary spectacles, millions of creatures completing a journey they began in darkness, decades ago, driven by an inner clock more reliable than any human timepiece. Until then, they wait, patient as stone, faithful as sunrise, counting the seasons in their dark cathedral beneath our feet. This has been Animal Uncovered, reminding you that in nature, timing is everything.